All right, so moving on, segment 2. The question I have is, how will you know if you had a successful career and quantify these objectives? Well, for some people, they might say, I want to make as much money as possible. Well, if that's the case, then it's going to be possibly a measure such as total money made over the course of your career. Another similar one might be the highest salary by the end of your career. So you may say, oh, I want to have $1 million a year. I want to make $1 million a year by the time I'm finished with my salary. Of course, you can quantify that pretty easily. And for many, it may be perhaps more of a balance is I want a job that is highly rewarding in terms of, I feel good about the job, and I want to have a job that balances really well my work life and my personal life. And so these are a little bit more difficult to quantify, but technically you could develop a survey. You could ask yourself this once a year. How am I doing with regard to a job that's very fulfilling? How am I doing with regard to a job that balances family, or not family, but work and personal life? And you may have certain measures that you can really zero in on to see how successful you are at meeting those objectives of a successful career. Walmart has this approach, and it's not uncommon to other retailers. Goods from their supplier trucks are transferred across the loading dock to waiting Walmart trucks without ever being placed or stored in a warehouse. What is the advantage of this approach? Well, think about it as one side of this distribution center, this big warehouse where trucks come and go, is that you could have trucks backing in from, let's say, Procter & Gamble, and they're delivering toilet paper and shampoo in this truck. And then on the other side of the warehouse slash distribution center, you have Walmart trucks in which you put, 5 boxes of toilet paper for this Walmart store, and another truck you put 5 boxes of toilet paper for that Walmart store. And so that's how you could that's really the advantage of what they call a cross dock system, is that there's never a time where that toilet paper or that shampoo sits on the shelf waiting to be sent to the end Walmart store. It comes off one truck that has a lot of toilet paper, for example, and it gets routed through the warehouse distribution center until it reaches the place where it needs to go into the Walmart truck for the Bloomington Normal Walmart, or the East Peoria Walmart, or wherever Walmart that its destination is. All right. You can, as far as operations objectives, competing through quality, that's pretty self-explanatory. Competing through low-cost objectives. It says perhaps the best way to achieve lower cost is to focus on customer requirements. And you say, why? Well, let's say that you have a car, and on that car there's a little bracket underneath your seat that allows you to move the seat forward and backwards. Well, we could gold plate that, and it's going to cost extra money, and the customer doesn't even see it, and they don't care. So if we focus on only giving the customer what they ask for, not extra stuff, then we can lower our cost, because we're saying, if you don't want to gold plate it, we'll just galvanize it, keep it from rusting, no problem, and we're saving you money, and therefore we're lowering our prices, our costs. Okay, the second part of this low-cost objective is you need a heavy investment in automation. The whole goal is you're trying to reduce the amount of cost, and oftentimes labor or people working on it is going to be significant. So if you can automate it, though oftentimes the automation, robot arms and so forth, can run 24 hours a day. They don't have to be paid. They don't have to be given benefits, etc. So oftentimes a heavy investment in automation is how you become a low-cost provider. Competing on delivery time. Typical products spend most of the time waiting for the next step in the process. Why? Well, think about it like this, and we've already, I think, done an example like this in class, but maybe we haven't. Is that, let's say that you have an order for 50 pieces, and so it goes through 3 different work areas to make. And let's say in the first area they start working on the first piece of that 50. Well, guess what? Those other 49 pieces are waiting until that first piece is done. And so then the person finishes the first piece, they put it off to the side, and the second piece they start working on. Now, the first piece is waiting while the second one is being worked on, as well as the third through the 50th piece. Of course, after the second one's done, we go to the third one, and then the first and second are waiting for the third one to be done, and then all the ones behind the third one. You got the idea. So that's why products spend a lot of time waiting. Of course, if you can lower your order quantity from 50 to 5 pieces, there's less wait time and you're moving through the facility much faster. Okay, changeover time. Changeover time is just another thing. Setup time to a certain degree is that we're running red pens and we want to change to blue pens. To change the equipment over, to change the ink, maybe change the fixtures, whatever, is the changeover time. The amount of time it takes from going from one type of part to another type of part. And again, here's that flexibility thing I love to talk about. But think about this. Ordering a car directly from the factory takes about 6 weeks on average. Maybe longer now. I think things are getting better. But what would car dealerships look like if ordering took only 2 days? I think what you'd see is you'd see a couple of cars that you could test drive in each type of product line. And I think you probably have some virtual reality chambers where you could see all of the various features, oh, this is what it looks like when it's a red car. This is what it looks like with the blue interior. This is what it looks like with, the painted bumpers versus the chrome bumpers, whatever. Okay, so you can see that, and because you'd say, well, I can do that because I can wait 2 days to get exactly what I want instead of having to choose what is on the lot. I think the car dealerships could possibly also offer you lower prices because they're not having to hold those cars in inventory and incur inventory cost. Okay, of course there's different imitators, innovators. You can have a competitive advantage to operations by capacity, having the ability to serve a new market before competitors. Let's say that you are a regional company, and in that regional company you provide a service to the Illinois, Indiana area, a service. And you decide that this service, let's say it's a janitorial type service, a maid service, let's go ahead and expand it to the Missouri area with our special equipment that we have that other people don't have. Well, we enter a new market before our competitors do, and so therefore, we can establish ourselves before they do, and that's really the competitive advantage. Another one is inventory, having sufficient inventory to meet demand. This is an advantage. Think about going to a convenience store and you want to buy a soda. Well, if they don't have that soda, you may not buy it there, and so therefore they may lose that particular business. So having inventory to meet demand, obviously, it gives you an advantage. You say, I'm always going to go to that corner store to buy a soda because they always seem to have stuff on stock. They don't run out. And the next one is supply chain strategy. And one of the ones I want to point out on this one is it should, and remember, supply chain is you, your customers, your suppliers, their suppliers, their suppliers. It's the chain of suppliers as well as even customers. And so the supply chain strategy should be aimed at achieving a sustainable competitive advantage for the entire supply chain. The main reason you want that is you want your suppliers to remain in business, because if you just squeeze them and squeeze them and squeeze them until they are no longer profitable, then they're going to go out of business, or they're going to start providing shoddier product because they are trying to cut corners as well. And at some point you're going to have to eliminate that supplier and find someone new that you have to develop, go through the learning cycle on. So it's a real problem. Obviously, there's some product differences, imitative products, innovative products, as far as talking about how to deal with supply chain strategies. There is some environmental and sustainable operations and how you can initiatives such as eliminating air pollution, etc. And that concludes this chapter.